So, good evening.
Hello, look at me.
Oh, sorry, darling. I was looking at Sergio Leone. Now, but that's our first take. We can at least get to relax, yeah? So, good evening, Toranj.
Good evening, Hafez. It's so lovely to have you here. Thank you for agreeing to interview. Actually,
the pleasure is all mine because I'm in the company of our Adriana Sevan-Nichols, or Sevan as I like to call her, a brilliant actress, a playwright, and of course, the playwright of Night Over Erzinga.
Yes.
What a beautiful card, image, and so on. First of all, what I love most about this is, as I've said in my directorial notes, is the title. What a beautiful title for a play. Night Over Erzinga, right? On the one hand, it evokes this magical starry sky like Van Gogh or Matisse. And then on the other hand, it conveys this sense of darkness, you know, that fell upon humanity during the Armenian genocide. There I said it, huh? The Armenian genocide that everyone has been so reluctant to utter. So it's a pleasure to work on this production. It's very challenging because the script is so rich. It's written in this episodic style, but it's overwhelmingly, mainly a memory play that's conjured by Adriana's desire to understand her family and her generations better. And so I guess we should ask Adriana to tell us what got her started.
Adriana?
You know, it's interesting, actually, I want to piggyback on what you just said because I really struggled at times to try and tell a more linear tale because it seemed like that might be an easier route to take. And every time I did, it was as though, you know, like if you see a cardboard box that just sort of falls in on itself, it would just sort of collapse. And I finally surrendered to, you know, how jagged and fragmented memory is. And so for me, the writing style really had to serve that, like being on this archaeological dig and you find a shard of pottery here and a jewel here and a writing implement here. So that's a lot of sort of what the process of writing the play was on how to make, how to weave together all of these pieces in one complete narrative, but to not dishonor how jagged and uneven memory can be.
I mean, it seems like you went on an investigation of the past. What was that process like?
It was amazing. I mean, what a gift to really be able to get the stories that remain from my family before that option isn't available anymore. And what really touched me was how generous my two aunts and my mom and my dad were to really talk and be interviewed by me. That was actually quite a lot of fun. Just really asking all the questions that I had in my mind, or, you know, pictures were unearthed during this process that I didn't even know existed. I mean, it wasn't, I think, until 1998 that I actually ever even saw a picture of my grandmother. I never met her. She passed when I was 3. And I just, you know, would hear these like little snippets of facts, but I didn't really have flesh, blood, and biography or images to go with that. And I think, you know, to understand the wounds and the things that we all carry, that we all have in our families, you know, it's hard to talk about the painful things that happened in the past. And so I understand why things maybe were in these neat, you know, sentences of this is what happened and this is what happened and then that's it. And so for me, the process really began with wanting to know, like to know, not just know, my blood, where do I really come from? And you know, who are these people that were my grandparents and potentially great-grandparents and before, because of what you will learn in the play. The character inspired by my mom was not raised with her Armenian parents, so the traditions were not passed on to her. And so growing up, I knew that I had Armenian blood, but I didn't know what that really meant to me. It meant, you know, food at, you know, an Armenian church or picnic occasionally, which I loved, and you know, I couldn't ever stop eating pastoran. That's why it's in the play. And I love Biorex, and I love Lahmacun, and I love the music. But I always felt like I wanted to hug all the people there and say, "It's me. Maybe, you know, maybe I'm your cousin. I don't know, but you know." And I always felt like I was on the outside, like of a candy store, looking in. And so the journey of this play, both as an artist and as a granddaughter and a daughter, has been to really get from outside the glass and go inside the house and really discover this big and important part of me.
And for you,
sorry, I was just going to say that we have been fortunate that Adriana's done all of these research, right? I love this idea of archaeology, and so we used all of that material in creating the world of the play and bringing it onto the stage. Yeah, so her photographs, her research albums, and so on, all the DVDs and volumes of material really helped the actors and the designers understand the world of the play. And what's been really challenging is this notion of memory, right? And the landscape, what I like to call the landscape of the mind. There are memories that are conjured, or there are haunting memories that invade the principal characters. At times there are nostalgic episodes, you know, wishing for an idyllic youth. At other moments there are obsessive thoughts. And then, as with every human being, there are regrets that we see, and sometimes nightmares, sometimes dreams. The play has this beautiful quality of not only does it try to go from 1915 to 1970, you know, with flashbacks and sometimes almost flashbacks part two. One memory will start and then it'll continue to a following memory. Sometimes you have a flash forward, sometimes you have a surreal dream. So not only is the play telling you a story about a family, but stylistically it's a very challenging piece because it invites the director and the cast and the designers to explore how to tell the story which is ethereal in a way. You know, memory and all of the landscape of the mind isn't something real. So we've used an abstract set design. We've used a very heightened style of acting, which I like to call fantastic realism, based on Vartangov, you know, Stanislavski's disciple. And then my favorite reference, as you've been hearing, is Pina Bausch, you know, this wonderful choreographer who was able to achieve in dance what I think Adriana has written on the page, which is all of this angst of the human spirit, you know, in movement. Pina Bausch gets it in movement, Adriana has it with words, and what she has written is poetic, it's a musical score. So I think, you know, we're working on several planes, and it's been a really challenging piece to work on, but I think we're very fortunate to have Golden Thread work with us, and the talented cast and crew. I'm enamored of all the talented designers we're working with, and I think it's going to be a very special experience.